Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today, we're jumping into some I Don't Work Here Lady. Our first story comes to us from Filthy Play. I do work here, but I can't help you. Let's jump right in. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. Note that this was the Friday before Independence Day weekend. I work in a car dealership in the offices. Employee parking is way in the back behind the service garages, but there is a walkway from that lot to the showroom. This morning, it was already 80 degrees by 8:30 a.m., so I opted to cut through the main garage and service lane, where customer first pull in and sign in for appointments, to get to the showroom and my desk. Crossing the service lane, I get waved down by a customer. Thinking nothing of it, I stop and ask her what she needed. Boy, was I in for a shock. Get my car, you're already making me late. Excuse me? Get my car. She stomped her foot for emphasis with each syllable, then continued. I still have to go home and pack. You people are gonna make us miss check-in time. Ma'am, I don't. Oh yes, you do work here. I just saw you walk in from the garage. At this point, I was getting irritated. At least let me finish a sentence before cutting me off. I reply as politely and firmly as possible. Ma'am, I do not work in this department, but if you hold on for just a moment, I can get the lane coordinator to help you. No, stop being lazy and do it yourself. I'm tired of waiting. At this point, she is within 6 feet of me and jabbing her finger at me. I don't know the service procedures for COVID, nor would I know who to ask about her vehicle status. Thankfully, the lane coordinator was coming back in from valeting another vehicle and heads over to us. Is everything alright over here? No, this employee is refusing to help me. One of you lazy bees, go get my car right now. We're going to be late because of you. Ma'am, she doesn't work in this department. She wouldn't know who to ask about your vehicle status. Come with me and we'll ask your service advisor. The customer follows her with a sneer as I rush to the office to finally clock in. I let my manager know what happened, just in case there's a complaint from service. We laughed about it and I got to work. Later this morning, we found out that she walked in at 8 a.m. without an appointment, demanding an oil change before leaving for a trip downstate. She was squeezed in due to an earlier cancellation, but was warned that it could take longer than normal. So does anybody else think she should have just booked it for earlier in the week? It sounds like she wasn't too slick and just spent all of her time being a dipstick. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our second story today comes to us from PokeMom95. For the 1000th time, I don't work at WallyWorld. Let's jump right in. Hi everyone, this happened earlier this week, and I still can't believe it happened. So I'm a 25 female and a preschool teacher. The director of my center recently gave all the teachers and aides blue t-shirts with the center's name and logo on the front and told us from now on, every Wednesday, we were to wear these shirts. This happened on one of these Wednesdays. It was June 30th, 2021, and I had just gotten off work. I decided to walk to my local WallyWorld, about a 45-minute walk in the opposite direction of my home, and pick up some supplies I knew I would need for my 4th of July camping trip. I've gone on this camping trip every single 4th of July weekend since I was born. I'm not kidding, my parents have pictures. And since we moved back in February, some of our camping supplies were missing, so I knew exactly what I needed to get. Here is where I should point out the shade of blue on my work shirt is the exact same shade of blue that WallyWorld has their employees wearing. I didn't have that bright yellow vest some of them will have, but I did have on that blue shirt. Anyway, I made it to WallyWorld and headed to the outdoor sports section, cart in hand. I loaded my cart with a small tent for my son, a large instant canopy, a cooler, and some other small supplies such as first aid kit, bug spray, etc. As I was loading my cart, I heard someone clear their throat behind me. I didn't look, but instantly moved my cart thinking, oh no, I must be in someone's way. Oh, how wrong I was. I heard the throat clearing again, and this is when I looked up. Right before me stood the wannabe country girl version of a Karen, head to toe in pink camo, Realtree hat upon her bleached blonde hair. The gaudiest pair of sunglasses I've ever seen, you get the drift. She looked like Barbie decided to go hunting for a day with zero hunting experience. What do you need? Excuse me? Is that how you greet customers here, young lady? I'm sorry. Yeah, you should be. You're not standing at the register like you should be. Instead, you're walking around the aisles like you're on a leisurely stroll. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm just doing some shopping. Well, you can wait until after your shift is over. Now get over to the locked case. I need one of those BB guns for my baby. Listen, lady. Lady is most certainly not the word I used, but I don't think cussing is allowed. I don't know who the heck you think you are, but you need to back off. How dare you? You need to treat customers with some more respect, especially your elders. Why are teenagers so disrespectful? Lady, 1, I'm 25. 2, respect is earned, and you'll get it when you give it. 3, do you see WallyWorld on my shirt? No. Then go F off, now. I don't work here. Normally, I'm non-confrontational, but after dealing with tiny hurricanes of snot all day, my whole body hurt, and I was ready to check out and call for my cab. Karen had the look on her face as if she'd just seen something terrifying and walked away. She sped away. I called to her, I hope you don't breed. We don't need any more Karens in the world. Yes, I crossed the line a bit with that last remark, but boy did it feel good to say it. You have to admit on this one that even if OP did work at WallyWorld, there was no way that this is how Karen should interact with her. I mean, this is just not how we treat people. Then, and I want your opinion on this one, we get to the end of the story where she called out, I hope you don't breed, blah, blah, blah. That kinda turned this story into an r/that happened for me. What do you guys think? I'd love to see your comments down below. Our third story today comes to us from Cancer Skittles. Valet service at Rite-Aid? Let's jump right in. Disclaimer time. I am a black man. At the time of this story, I was probably around 15 years old. This combination of traits meant I had a 50-50 chance of others assuming I worked at any store I went to. While there may be embellishments, everything stated did happen. So I'm walking home from school and stop at a Rite-Aid to grab a bottle of water and maybe some snacks. Ended up only grabbing water, which wasn't a game breaker because there was a McDonald's a little ways down. As I finished paying and am about to walk through the automatic doors, this older white dude, who was, I think, flirting with the cashier in front of him. This dude looks like a mix of Josh Brolin and John Goodman, draped in jeans, a sweat-stained wife beater with a tuft of hair peeking through the neckline, and an opened button-down shirt. He stops me and tries to hand me his keys. I recoiled as if he tried to stab me, and told him I didn't work there. Undeterred, he jingled the keys towards me and said I need to bring his car up to the front. I, confused by his determination to get me to go to his car, again stated I didn't work there. I just got out of school and I don't need this crap. He slurred something I didn't quite understand. I loomed down, gazing at my Rattlesnake 316 shirt and cargo shorts, a gray JanSport on my back, a water bottle in one hand, and store brand over-the-ear headphones in the other, racking my brain to understand how he somehow thinks I'm some kind of car service, especially for Rite-Aid. I guess my brain shorted out because next thing I know, I'm basically being pushed out the door by this guy, keys in hand. As I'm standing there in front of the automatic doors with the mix of stranger danger, general teenage apathy, and wanting to just leave, I take what I feel is the most sensible action and launch the keys as far away from me and into the parking lot as I can, before immediately exiting stage left and continuing home after making another pit stop at McDonald's. And here's the aftermath. I guess the guy noticed I left when his car didn't magically appear in front of the store and called the police. A cop car was already at the McDonald's where I stopped for food, so they stopped me as I was leaving. I told him the guy gave me his keys and seemed really adamant I go to his car, even though I told him several times I did not work for Rite-Aid and didn't want his keys. I mentioned I thought it was pretty creepy how much he wanted me to go to his car. They asked me what I did with them. I told them I chucked them into the parking lot and left. Since I didn't leave the front of the store, I was sure it was on camera. The cops chuckled and said I was free to go. I asked why, feeling it couldn't be that easy. One of them said that if I stole a car, why was I still walking home? Don't know if the guy got his keys or had to call a tow or locksmith, and I don't really care. Cops were cool enough. I don't know, considering how the customer acted, they might have been on something, and so that would be pretty good valet service in the end anyway. Just toss the keys in the parking lot, and now the guy can't drive. Good work, OP. Our next story today comes to us from Cow Tools. Do I even work here? No, I don't. Let's jump right in. Earlier this year, I was in a pharmacy that was having a sale on makeup with all the sale items together on one table. I had an armful of products and was searching through the rest for particular colors, moving things around, putting some things back when I found something I liked better, etc. A woman who was part of a middle-aged couple came into my aisle and stood a few displays away behind me, complaining to her partner about the pharmacy and how she couldn't find something. I was focused on what I was doing, so I wasn't really listening to their conversation, my brain just registering some kind of sarcastic white noise that was getting increasingly louder and more passive-aggressive. Her partner was quietly trying to hush her as she continued to exaggeratedly sigh and moan to him about how terrible the employees were in the pharmacy, that gosh, she needed help. Even though from the time she'd walked into the aisle, she had just stood there and never attempted to go find an employee or whatever it was she was after. Finally, she very loudly and exasperatedly bellows, "Does she even work here?" I was startled by the outburst and turned around to look at her, finding her looking shocked and turning red because that was the exact moment she realized that no, I don't work there, and wasn't some employee ignoring her, and also the moment I realized the whole 2 minutes or so of sighing and nasty comments were actually aimed at me. She flusteredly grabbed her partner's arm and marched past me without making eye contact, still complaining about the pharmacy and its terrible service, though now in the erratic tone of someone trying to convince themselves they hadn't just done something embarrassing. I was dressed in all black, not anything like the employee uniform, but not out of the realm of possibility that I could work there, and I can understand how she might have thought I was restocking or sorting the table, but what a way to go about it instead of just asking, "Excuse me, do you work here?" You see, OP, what you've run into this one is the grumpy old bat. They don't actually want help, they just want someone to complain to. And when they realized you weren't that person, did you see how quickly they moved on? I really feel sorry for whoever was working the cash that day. Our next story comes to us from Keyboard Bill. If you give me your keys, I'm gonna toss them in the gutter. Let's jump right in. This happened about 16 to 17 years ago when I was in my late 20s. Now, one thing I know about myself is that I'm a babyface. Even now at 44, I'm tall and have an athletic build, so I get mistaken for a young 20-something all the time. So you can imagine what I looked like at the age of 27 or 28. Now, couple that with the fact that I'm a black man, relevant later, and you can just imagine what my life has been like. There are a few things in America more despicable than a young black man, right? So that's my life in a nutshell, cursed to forever be the young black man. So my team was having a retirement celebration for our manager, and we had a dinner party at a restaurant near our workplace after hours. The shindig ended up being about 25 to 30 people, mostly older. I think I was one of 2 or 3 people there under age 40, and it was nice. Our manager shed a tear or two, gave a nice speech, blah blah blah, etc, etc. The restaurant was open for business, and there were other small parties, couples, etc. there, and they ignored us and we ignored them. But we weren't segregated, we were seated towards the center of the seating area around a large table and a second smaller one. So fast forward to the end of the dinner and we're all outside now, saying our final greetings and on the verge of dispersing, and I was among the group. So a few people start to make their way home and our group is now whittled down to about 10 to 12 people. Other patrons and pedestrians are coming and going like normal, and there we are just chatting amongst ourselves. Notably, our manager was still there with his plaque, a relatively large picture frame, and a couple of gift bags, so again, it should have been evident to anybody who was in the restaurant for the last hour who we were. You would think. And then it happens. I'll call her Pre-Karen, since this was before people like her were a meme. "Excuse me." "Yes, ma'am. Here are my keys." For you to get my car." "I'm sorry, I don't work here, ma'am." "I don't have time for games. Here are my keys." As she's saying this, she tries to stuff her keys in my hand. Now I'm pissed. If you put your keys in my hand, I'm going to throw them across the street and into the gutter. "Then why do you have a badge on?" As she's saying this, she reaches out to grab my badge. Like, WTF? which was on a lanyard hanging around my neck down around my midsection. Before she can, I snatch it away. If you touch me again, I will consider it assault and call the police. I don't work here. She withdraws her hand and I release my badge, which she proceeds to study for the 2 or so seconds it would take to figure out it's not a restaurant or valet badge. I believe the restaurant contracts out their valet service, and having done valet work during college, I am fairly certain my business attire does not in any way resemble the uniforms. Think tacky vest with logo and matching pants of the 2 or 3 companies that are in my area, and furthermore, none of them do badges on lanyards. Then she looks me up and down, comes back to lock eyes with me, and while starting to turn away, utters that word, you know which one, under her breath. Not gonna lie, it caught me off guard, and in the 15 years since, I've thought of the perfect comeback more times than I care to admit. The other story of my life, sigh. But on the bright side, I'm prepared now. But in that moment, I simply couldn't force words to come out of my mouth. So I just turned around and tried to shake off my shock and anger and proceed as if everything was fine. Most of my remaining coworker group, a mix of black and white, was aware of what had just transpired, but there was nothing to be said or done really, so we just kind of started small talking again. Well, OP, I was kinda hoping this was going to go the same way as the grocery store one from earlier in the video, where the keys got tossed, and in this case, went right down the gutter so they wouldn't be able to get to them at all, but unfortunately it didn't. Oh well. Be sure to check out all 5 OPs linked in the description down below. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.